Good evening, everyone. The time is now 5:27, and we are broadcasting on all platforms.
Looks like you got a headache maybe or something.
Nothing contagious.
No worries here.
Be delicate.
No worries here.
Yeah.
Hey, Brad.
Do we have people here? The November 19th, 2024 meeting of the City Council is called to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk Lesko, can you please call the roll?
Will do. Alderman Redpath.
Here.
Alderman Gregory.
Here.
Alderman Williams. Here. Alderman Rockford. Alderwoman Purchase.
Here.
Alderwoman Otriano.
Here.
Alderman Carlson.
Here.
Alderwoman Connolly.
Present.
Alderman Dunlin.
Here.
Alderman Hanauer.
Here.
Mayor Busher.
Present.
Mayor Busher, a quorum is present.
Thank you, Clerk Lesko. The Civility Pledge. In the interest of civility, I pledge to promote civility by listening, being respectful of others, acknowledging that we are all striving to support and improve our community, and understanding that we each may have different ideas for achieving that objective. The next item on the agenda would be docket number 2024-036, Are we okay here? Sorry. Oh, okay, sorry. Apparently Alderman Williams needs to join by the phone?
Yes.
Okay, can I get a motion for Alderman Williams to join?
So
via
moved.
phone?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Alderman Williams, can you hear us?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sorry, I didn't know you were there. Thank you, sir. The next item on the agenda is docket number 2024-036, an amendment to Chapter 155, Section 155.302, Special Provisions for Temporary Signs pertaining to the total square footage for temporary signs in single-family and duplex residential districts. Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Staff recommendation is approval. Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is denial of the resolution as submitted. The chair will now entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to accept the staff recommendation for approval.
Second.
So there's a motion and a second to accept Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Staff recommendation of approval. Any discussion? Alderman Carlson.
Chair, was this the same sign ordinance that we've talked about before? We're going to 12 square feet in residential?
I believe it is. I'll let Corporation Counsel Mordock explain, but I believe it is the same ordinance.
We're moving from 12 to 16 square feet.
From 12 to 16?
Yes.
Okay. And I was looking, is this for, Mr. Mordock, is this for all signs, or are we just limited to political signs?
It's not for political signs, it's for temporary signs. We don't identify simply political signs. Political signs fall within our description of
As temporary signs, okay, all right.
So it would apply to political signs.
Okay, okay. Well, again, I'm just going to reiterate again, and I've talked to, I'm going to reiterate to my colleagues. I mean, I've talked to 3 different neighborhood association meetings and at boards, and not one person has said we need larger political signs. You know, I think it was deemed, 13, 14 years ago, I think by this body, that it's 12 square feet. And if we're going 16 square feet, I mean, I don't know where it ends. I don't know why we can't go 24 or 30 square feet. I mean, I don't think anybody, I'm looking at some small lots that I have in my ward. I mean, I think 16 square feet, I mean, I think there's, I think some sightline issues. I think there's just going to be some issues at a corner lot. I just would urge my colleagues who, hey, we've all purchased a lot of signs over the years. I don't know why we're moving in the direction of larger signs. If anything, I think the general public and the feedback I've been getting at neighborhood association meetings and constituents would be to go smaller signs. I mean, we can already have political signs up year-round. I mean, do we really want political signs up year-round, 16 square feet in a residential area? So for that, I'm going to vote no on this.
Alderman Hanauer.
Thank you. This also includes, I think, for sale, real estate signs and that too. And, I have a few neighborhood associations that don't allow political signs. So that's a good thing. At least it makes it a lot easier, especially when you're running. Yeah. But I think their concern is they don't want to see the larger. You're talking about a 4x4 sign in residential area. You could have, and most of them may not do it, but if you have 1 or 2 realtors that start throwing 4x4s out in front of houses, it's just, I just think the look would be not very appeasing. I think that, if anything, we should be going the opposite way. And I think that from just from overall beauty of the city, going this way is the wrong way. And as I stated, I'll be a no vote on this for that reason. I think we need to go the opposite way. A 4x3 sign to me is even too big. I think that we should go lower. 2x4 signs about as big as you should really need in a housing, in a residential area. So, thank you.
Alderman Donlin?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and I really appreciate the comments from my two colleagues. You've spoken to me offline about this, spoken very publicly about it, as have I. First of all, I want to be clear that I wish we didn't have to have political signs. I wish that we had the ability as a council to regulate when they're put up. But unfortunately, the Supreme Court said that we do not have that authority. This came up because there were signs, I might add, not mine. The largest one I've ever had is a 2x3, I believe. But there were signs in the past few election cycles where you would have residential yards that had multiple signs. We're talking about total area, we're not talking about the big signs. We're talking really about, at least my intention was to have it for discussion so we can talk about there's yards that had multiple signs that exceeded the amount. And, you know, the talk amongst town was to raise it to the 16. I respect that my colleagues and the reasons why. Again, I wish we didn't have to have them. I wish we had the ability to regulate the time frame, but I intend on voting for this, so thank you.
Alderwoman Conley?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to point out, I understand the objection to it. I also enjoy the areas of my ward that don't allow signs. But people have a choice, and if people, you know, if someone in their own home or in a residential lot wants to show us, you know, have a certain larger sign for any sort of an issue. I mean, it's a personal choice, and I think we can allow it. I appreciate Alderman Donlin bringing this forward because, as you said, it's been happening. We've seen these larger signs, so might as well be honest about where we are with these. So, thank you.
Alderman Donlin?
Mayor, I apologize. I forgot to ask my question of Corporation Counsel. The concept or the issue of sightline was brought up earlier, and we've had the discussion offline about it. Sightline issues would apply presently. They would, no matter what the number is. That is absolutely something that would apply, and no matter the size of the signs, if it disrupts the sightline issue of traffic, it would have to be removed, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Alderman Williams, do you have anything for the discussion on this?
I'm fine.
Okay. I see no other alders signed up to speak, so with that, the voting will now be open. All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no.
Alderman Williams, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
So the motion passes with 6 voting yes, 3 voting no. The next item on the agenda is docket number 2024-042 for the property located at 2242 South 6th Street. Petitioners are 2222 South LLC. The present zoning classification is S2 Community Shopping and Office District, Section 155.031. The requested zoning relief is variance of sections 155.300C9, prohibited signs, signs with movement, 155.302B4, and 5 and 7, general conditions for temporary signs, 155.302C1, banners, 155.302C3 and D, special provisions for temporary signs, 155.320A, B, D, and E, permitted accessory on-premise signs, 155.322C, illuminated signs, and 155.324, projecting signs. The Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning staff recommendation is denial. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is denial, concur with the recommendation of the Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission. The chair will now entertain a motion.
I move that we extend this out until December 17th, 2024.
So we have a motion to extend this to December 17th. Can I get a second?
Second, Mayor.
All right, any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor with delaying this to the 17th, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Alderman Williams, are you an aye?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, sir. The next item on the agenda is docket number 2024-043 for the property located at 1516 Phillips Avenue. The Petitioner is Kevin R. Thompson. The present zoning classification is I-1 Light Industrial District, Section 155.040. The requested zoning relief is variance of Section 155.157, discontinuance of use, permitting a continued use of the property as a non-conforming single-family residence in order to commence repairs on the vacant single-family residence. Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Staff recommendation is approval. Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is approval. Concur with the recommendation of the Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission. The chair will now entertain a motion.
Yes, motion for passage. I accept the staff recommendations.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept staff recommendation for approval. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, the voting will now be open. All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no. Ask.
Alderman, how do you vote?
Yes.
Yes.
So that's, motion passes with 9 voting yes, none voting 0. The next item on the agenda is docket number 2024-044 for the property located at 4511 KC Drive. The petitioners are Morris, Gary Jacobs, and Michelle Jacobs. The present zoning classification is R1, Single Family Residence District, Section 155.016. The requested zoning relief is variance of Section 155.061, Basic Yard Requirements. There's a typo here. Is it 016 or 061? Do you know? We need to make this 061? Okay. So the variance of Section 155.061, Basic Yard Requirements, to allow the screening of the existing structure for a rear yard setback to be located 8 feet from the back property line instead of the 20 feet. Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Staff recommendation is approval. Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is approve the recommendation of the Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission. The chair will now entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to accept the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the Planning and Zoning recommendation for approval. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, the voting will now be open. All those in favor, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no.
Alderman Williams, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
So the motion passes with 9 voting yes, 0 no's. The next item on the agenda is docket number 2024-045 for the property located at 1404 South 2nd Street. The petitioner is Kyle E. McGinnis. The present zoning classification is R5B, General Residence and Office District, Section 155.021. The requested zoning relief is variance of sections 155.056 minimum lot area per dwelling unit to allow a duplex residence dwelling unit on a lot containing 3,200 square feet of lot area instead of 6,000 square feet, and 155.055 minimum width for residences to allow a duplex dwelling unit on a lot 40 feet in width instead of 50 feet. The Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Staff recommendation is approval. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is approval. Concur with the recommendation of the Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission. The chair will now entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to accept the approval of the Planning and Zoning recommendation, the approval of the item. Any discussion on this? Alderwoman Conley.
Yeah, Mayor, I just wanted to say my screen isn't updating with the current ordinance. So.
Oh, we will have Nicole come look at it.
Okay.
Can you vote, Alderwoman? Is it allowing you to vote?
Oh, not yet.
That would be a problem.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I have no questions about the.
Okay. Any other discussion? If you can't
Okay,
vote,
now I've got it. Yep.
raise your hand and
Thank you.
we'll call on you. So the voting will now be open. All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no.
Alderman Williams, how do you vote?
Sorry.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so the motion passes with Alderwoman Triano, are you going to vote? With 9 voting yes, none voting no. The next item on the agenda is item number 2024-046 for the property located at 2715 North Durksen Parkway. Petitioners are LD Pope, Inc. The present zoning classification is I-1 Light Industrial District, Section 155.040. The requested zoning relief is reclassification from I-1 Light Industrial District, Section 155.040 to B-1 Highway Business Service District, Section 155.033. The Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Staff recommendation is approval. Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is approve the recommendation of the Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission. The chair will now entertain a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion, we accept the Planning and Zoning recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the planning and zoning recommendation. Is there any discussion on this item? I think we all have to wait because no one can vote right yet.
Mine's froze at the.
I think it's because she's not back there.
There we go.
There we go. Any discussion? Seeing none, the voting will now be open. All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no. And I'll let you ask Alderman Williams.
Alderman Williams, how do you vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Alderwoman Conley,
I'm
how do
also
you
a
vote?
yes.
Yes. So the motion passes with 9 voting yes, none voting no. The next item on the agenda is docket number 2024-047 for the property located at 2101 Clear Lake Avenue, 2021 Clear Lake Avenue, tax ID 1426.0-451-011, off Clear Lake Avenue and North 22nd Street, and tax ID number 14-26.0-451-002, off Clear Lake Avenue and North 22nd Street. Petitioners are the City of Springfield. Present zoning classification is 2101 Clear Lake Avenue, Office District, Section 155.020, 2021 Clear Lake Avenue, S2, Community Shopping and Office District, Section 155.031, 14-26.0-451-011, off of Clear Lake Avenue, North 22nd Street, I-1 Light Industrial District, Section 155.040, and R2 Single Family and Duplex Residence District, Section 155.017, and 14-26.0-451-002, off of Clear Lake Avenue, North 22nd Street. I-1 Light Industrial District, Section 155.040, and R2 Single Family and Duplex Residence District, Section 155.017. The requested zoning relief is reclassification from off Office District, Section 155.020, S2 Community Shopping and Office District, Section 155.031, R2 Single Family and Duplex Residence District, Section 155.017, and I-1 Light Industrial District, Section 155.040, to I-1 Light Industrial District, Section 155.040, and a variance of Section 155.048, further special provisions near district boundaries to allow for the storage, loading, and processing of materials not in an enclosed building within 300 feet of a residence. The Springfield-Sangamon County Regional Planning Staff recommendation is approval. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is accept the recommendation of the Springfield-Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission for approval. The chair will now entertain a motion.
Alderman Williams, do you have a motion?
Yeah, we'll motion to accept the staff's recommendation as recommended.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the recommendation of the Springfield-Sangamon Regional Planning Staff recommendation. Is there any discussion on the item? Did one of the speakers sign up to speak on this? Pardon me. Was there a speaker on this? No?
I don't
Okay.
think so.
Seeing none, then, the voting will now be open. All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no.
Alderman Williams, how do you vote?
Yes.
So the motion passes with 9 voting yes, none voting no. The next item on the agenda is item number 2024-048 for the property located at 710 Patton Avenue. Petitioners are EMS Midwest LLC. The present zoning classification is R2 Single Family and Duplex Residence District, Section 155.017. The requested zoning relief is reclassification from R2 Single Family and Duplex Residence District, Section 155.017 to I-1 Light Industrial District, Section 155.040, and variances of Sections 155.480, I, J, and K1 landscape screening and lighting regulations to allow the transitional buffer yard requested to be 0 feet wide, to eliminate the screening requirements as to the north and east property lines, and to eliminate the lighting requirements for the parking area 155.063 A, B, and C, required yards for lots adjoining residential districts to allow a rear yard depth of 20 feet instead of 30 feet, to allow the east side yard to be used for accessory off-street loading, and to eliminate the screening or buffering requirements for the north and east property lines 155.480G and H landscape screening and lighting regulations to allow the property to be developed without a landscape plan, and 155.111 access to off-street parking facilities to allow a driveway with a width of 102.67 feet instead of 35 feet, or in the alternative, a use variance to allow for a warehouse to be used in connection with restoring and repairing assistive technology devices in the current zoning classification or another classification acceptable to the city. The Springfield-Sangamon County Regional Planning Staff recommendation is approval. The Planning and Zoning recommendation is denial of the petition as submitted. The chair will now entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve the variances and grant use variances for the warehouse with offices to be used for storing and repairing assistive technology devices, limited to no more than 10,000 square feet in size, with no outside storage of materials, and using the I-1 bulk regulations, R2 signage regulations to apply.
We have a motion and a second to approve using the variances the alderman has read off that I don't have in front of me, so I cannot repeat what you just said.
That's a lot.
Any discussion? Alderwoman Purchase.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will be a present vote on this, but I would encourage to ask my colleagues to support this, as well as we have some of my constituents in the audience, but Matt McLaughlin did an excellent job, and Chris, we walked the whole area to talk about it and was able to come to a common ground, and I see you shaking your head, so thank you. And thank you to my colleagues for the support.
Any other discussion? And Alderman Williams, I owe you an apology. I haven't asked you for discussion on every item. I apologize to you, sir.
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Do you need to speak, Mr. Pavlik?
Use variance is acceptable to the petitioner.
Okay. All right. We have a motion and a second. The voting will now be open.
Alderman Williams, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
So the motion passes with 8 voting yes and 1 voting present. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Have a great night.
Williams is 8.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The chair will now recognize, oh, wait, I have to wait a second while they swing seats around, I guess, don't I? Jumping the gun. We have Roy. The chair will now recognize Deputy Treasurer Ketchum for the financial report.
Thank you, Mayor Busher. Treasurer's Corporate Report Fund for the month of October, beginning balance $46,596,649. We took in total receipts of $11,545,524. We had disbursements in the month of October totaling $11,788,435, which left the corporate fund ending balance for the month of October at $46,353,738. The ending general fund balance includes $12,098,606, which is the October ending balance for ARPA money. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Treasurer Ketchum. Is there any questions for the deputy?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to accept the Deputy Treasurer's report as submitted.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you, Deputy Treasurer. The Chair also recognizes the OBM Director Metzger for any questions on the OBM contract report. Are there any questions on the, oh, sorry, Purchasing Agent Lesko. It's not Director Metzger behind me there. You're good. Any questions on the OBM contract report? Seeing none, we will move on. The chair will now entertain a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the November 5th, 2024 regular city council meeting and approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. The chair is going to entertain a motion to suspend the rules and place on first reading the agenda item in front of you, which is item number 2024-497, an ordinance declaring the office of city clerk vacant and appointing a new city clerk.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and I'm going to assume there will be discussion. Since this isn't on the packet, oh, you can chime in. Good job. Alderman Hanauer.
I guess, first of all, Clerk Lesko, congratulations on your squeaky victory there.
Thank you.
You had everybody waiting for the last minute, but I guess what is we've done aldermen before. I guess the question is it the same process, and what kind of timeline are you looking for, and as far as applicants or whatever? How's that gonna work?
I'm going to let Corporation Counsel Mordock answer some of your questions, but the concept of getting this into the record tonight, clearly it wasn't printed in the package because we put the packet out on Friday.
Right.
And this happened today. I don't know what time, if it was noon or when, but I was busy all day, so I'm sorry that I didn't know, working. But the idea is to read it into the record, and then next week we could put a name. It doesn't have a name in the ordinance, a name in it, because my understanding is the clerk is to take office on December 2nd.
Yes.
The new office as recorder. So we would be without a clerk, so it was trying to avoid not having a clerk.
Right.
So I'm going to let Corporation Counsel Mordock talk
Right.
about anything else.
So we're anticipating a vacancy to be in the office of city clerk when Clerk Lesko moves on to the recorder's office. So the under our consent decree, the city council has 60 days to appoint somebody to the office of city clerk. But the vacancy will take effect no later than December 2nd, so we'll be without a clerk at that time. What reading this ordinance into the record does today is it puts it on first read. It can be debated if the city council has a name at the next committee of the whole, or it can be held, but it allows the flexibility to move forward once the city council does decide on who to appoint. But there is a 60-day time limit for this body to appoint a city clerk. That clock starts when the vacancy in the position starts, and that would be when there's not a vacancy until the city clerk resigns from his current role.
So I guess the question, and I apologize.
No, you're good. You're still your floor.
So will we be asking for, I assume, Mayor, you will take the lead on this, or?
If you all have someone you want to recommend, give me a call.
Or are you gonna just open
council
it up to
members.
where people can apply, or, you know, how's that work?
I have been in meetings back to back.
Right, I understand
The last 2 days,
right.
but I do have people who have reached out that are interested in it, and then if you have people as well, so, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Alderwoman Conley.
Thank you, Mayor. No one's reached out to me with an interest in the clerk's office yet. But if someone doesn't want to go through a council member, can they submit like a resume to your office and a letter of
Absolutely, yeah,
interest?
or, yes, and they can contact the mayor's office at 217-789-2200 and get a direct email if they would like.
Okay, thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you, Alderwoman Conley. Alderman Donlin.
Yeah, just really, I think I'm answering my questions by pulling out the consent decree, but I was under the understanding that when there's a vacancy in the office of city clerk, that the mayor would submit the name for advice and consent to the council. Evidently, it's the council's authority. That's something I was not aware of until just now.
That's right, yes. Our consent decree reads a little different than the municipal code, and it reads a little different for the office of city clerk as opposed to the office of alderman. So when there was an aldermanic vacancy, that process would be a little different than this process. Although those appointments were still subject to advice and consent of the city council, it is worded differently.
Well, Mayor, if I can make a request, building upon Alderwoman Conley's comments, that that any individual interested submit that information to your office, and obviously you'll disseminate it like you would anything else.
100%.
That way we get- Okay,
Tim Griffin.
thank you very much.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Any other discussion? Alderman Williams, do you have any discussion on this item?
Alderman Williams, are you there?
So will they be able to vote, or do we have to do a roll call vote, since it wasn't in the roll call vote? Okay, I thought so. Thank you, Nicole. So Clerk Lesko, could you do I see no other discussion here, so can you do a roll call vote, please?
Alderman Redpath.
I'm sorry, did you have a question, Alderman Gregory?
No.
Okay, sorry.
Aye. Aye.
Alderman Gregory, Alderman Williams,
Aye.
Alderman Rockford is not here. Alderwoman Purchase,
Aye.
Alderwoman Notriano,
Aye.
Alderman Carlson.
Aye.
Alderwoman Conley.
Aye.
Alderman Donelan.
Aye.
Alderman Hanauer.
Aye.
9 ayes and no
9
nays,
ayes.
Mayor.
So thank you. So that is now read into the record, and you will discuss it at your committee of the whole meeting next week. The chair will now entertain a motion to incorporate the pre-council first reading of ordinances into the record of this council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. The chair will entertain a motion to incorporate the pre-council reading of the consent agenda into the record of this council meeting.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Nay. The ayes have it. The chair will entertain a motion to place the consent agenda on final passage.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? If we have none, the voting will now be open. All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no. And I'll let you ask.
Alderman Williams, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you.
So the motion passes with 9 voting yes, none voting 0. The agenda numbers 2024-239 and 2024-333 remain tabled or in committee. Any discussion on those? Seeing none, we are going to move on to the debate agenda. The next item on the agenda is 2024-449, an ordinance authorizing a supplemental agreement to Hanson Professional Services Incorporated to perform additional Phase 1 preliminary engineering services for the 3rd Street Greenway and Phase 2 preliminary engineering services for the Greenway along North Street, MFT Section 24-00499-00BT, and supplemental appropriation in the amount of $1,300,000 for the Office of Public Works. The chair will entertain a motion to place agenda item number 2024-449 on final passage.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Alderwoman Notriano.
Thank you. I just had one follow-up question. I had asked for the what do you call, grant number for this and to ensure.
Phone, please.
And to ensure that we did have this grant money in hand. So I just wanted to see if anyone could confirm that for me.
It's a reimbursable grant. We wouldn't have the money. Just like the grants that we've done before.
Why?
That's all the grants for the state are reimbursable, like the ones that you voted for Alderman Gregory when you had ordinances that you voted yes to make them not, so we could advance the money from the corporate fund. They're reimbursable. All the grants are reimbursable.
Okay, so we have not received this grant money yet.
That's how they work.
That is not my impression. So if we had received this grant money, why would it not come out of the line item for the grant as opposed to the corporate fund?
It's a reimbursable grant.
Okay, I understand that, but why would it come out of the corporate fund and not be tied directly to the grant that we received? If someone could please just give me like the grant number.
If you don't have the money, you can't take it from that.
But we've received the grant, have we not?
We have an approval for it, yes, ma'am.
When will we be voting on that?
You are right now in front of you.
No, the actual grant.
Corporation Counsel, do you want to? I'm not sure what she's asking.
I don't have the grant number in front of me. The revenue on the fact sheet shows where the money's going to come back in. So it's going to come out of the corporate fund, but then we're going to get revenue back into that same fund, which is 95-110 work 3G RN 2306. So that's where the revenue.
So Fund 95 of the corporate fund.
But I would defer to OBM on what those fund lines are.
Right.
Any other questions, Alderwoman?
No, I guess that's it.
And I do know that Mike Mendenhall is here from Hanson. If anyone wants Mike to come up, he doesn't have to, but if you want Mike to come up, he can. Okay, seeing none, the voting will now be open. All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no.
Alderman Williams, how do you vote?
Present.
Thank you.
So the motion passes with 8 voting yes and 1 voting present. The next item on the agenda is item number 2024-451, a resolution proclaiming the second Monday in October as Indigenous Peoples' Day. The chair will entertain a motion to place agenda item number 2024-451 on final passage. Does anyone want to introduce?
Amendment now, okay. I'd like to propose the amendment that is in front of everyone to this agenda item. So the goal of this amendment is to change from having a resolution proclaiming the second Monday in October as Indigenous Peoples' Day to add Italian American Heritage Day to this proclamation. So just to clear up any questions that anyone might have, this is not a city holiday. It's not going to be on the city calendar. We are just recognizing, as the context of the resolution says here, we're just recognizing Indigenous people and Italian Americans for their contributions to the city and the country, and bringing attention to this history, that the Indigenous Peoples' Day history, that is very important and integral to our country, and making an effort to not minimize or downplay Italian American heritage while recognizing Indigenous people.
So we have a motion for an amendment. Can I get a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the amendment. So the first discussion will be on the amendment itself, and then we'll just do a roll call vote on the amendment, just to let you know the process. Alderwoman Conley on the amendment.
Thank you. Yes, Mayor. I know we have people who signed up to speak to this ordinance. I think if we could maybe have the speakers come up before we vote on the actual amendment even.
Okay.
Because I would be interested in hearing. I know we have some people who've very engaged and involved in getting this to this point. I'd like to hear their thoughts on the amendment too.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Alderman Hanauer.
Thank you, Mayor. Of course, I've had a lot of people from the Italian community contact me, and I think that they were under the impression that the amendment was going to be the second, whatever it was, in November for Indigenous People Day. I think that to put them in the same day as the a day that the Italian Americans celebrate would be somewhat equivalent to putting something on another holiday for another group that celebrates, be it you just name the group, it doesn't matter. I don't think that I can't support this. I was prepared to support an amendment to put it in November, but I can't support this. I don't think it's fair to the Italian community. I don't think that any other community in this town would be happy if we put another group's, had them share the holiday. And so with that, I just can't support this amendment. Thank you.
Alderwoman Notriano.
Yes, so to explain some of my thinking and not wanting to get into rehashing the controversy. So currently, as it stands, Columbus Day is the same day as Indigenous Peoples' Day, which is the second Monday in October. That's how it's recognized in cities around the country and by the federal government. And so what I wanted to do is, because we had this ask come from the Learning Academy students to celebrate Indigenous Peoples' Day, they came and asked for that proclamation, which I supported. I had heard that folks thought that this was going to negate Columbus Day or be anti-Italian immigrant. And of course, that is not my intention, nor the intention of the proposers, but we'll hear from them. I don't want to put words in their mouth. And so I added Italian American Heritage Day, or I'm asking to add Italian American Heritage Day to this date so that our Italian American community realizes that our recognition of Indigenous Peoples Day is in no way meant to negate the contributions of Italian immigrants to the city of Springfield and to this country. So that's the thinking. Your objection to sharing the day unfortunately doesn't hold water because that's how it stands currently. And I really was trying to get us all to yes, but it is everyone's choice to vote not to recognize Indigenous people or Italian Americans. So you have that decision before you to make, absolutely. Not one that I would make. Thank you.
Alderman Carlson.
Yeah, and I thought, Alderman Gregory, you had mentioned an amendment last week, and in introducing that amendment, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this goes back to 1990, and I think the federal government does recognize Indigenous People Day. Actually, let me correct myself. I think it's an Indigenous People Month in the month of November. I guess we're not moving forward with your amendment you had talked about last week by making the second Monday in November Indigenous People Day.
That's end of your comments. You want me to go to Alderman Gregory?
Yeah, that's it. Thank you,
Okay.
Mayor.
Alderman Gregory?
Yes,
First.
correct. That was my amendment. We didn't formally put it through. And the reason why I made that amendment is trying to find common ground. This holiday for the state of Illinois is the last Monday in September. It's currently a bill that's stalled out, on the state level, to change the second Tuesday to Indigenous People Day. So for us, we have some options. Jennifer has Italian heritage, so I felt like it was only right for me to defer to her and how she feels. On a day like this, on something that we're naming, as well as other Italian Americans. I'm open to whatever this body wants to do to recognize these two cultures. And if it's the second Tuesday in October, if it's the second Tuesday in November, or if it's the last Monday in September, all of these days have been selected by somebody to recognize these two cultures. So that's my spiel. I support whatever we as a body want to do with it.
Thank you, Alderman Gregory. Alderman Williams, do you have any comments for the amendment that we have right now?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure before we had citizens come up and speak. So per Alderwoman Conley's request, we're going to listen to the citizens who signed up to speak on this. Oh, sorry, Alderman Carlson.
One more question, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Corporation Counsel, how many votes does this need
So
to pass, since we're missing a member?
So this will take 5 votes.
Okay, thank you.
So Alderwoman Conley has asked that we hear from the citizens who signed up to speak. So we're still, the amendment has not been voted on yet, just so that those of you know that come up to speak. Alderman Donlin.
I just have a quick question, and I guess I'll ask Alderwoman Natriano. First of all, I appreciate your comments, appreciate Alderman Gregory's comments. Has anybody spoken to, we have a pretty prevalent Italian-American community, organizations in the community. Has anybody spoken to any of those groups about this proposed amendment?
No, this was something that I thought of on the fly over the weekend to get us to yes. So basically, instead of saying, well, I mean, honestly, they haven't come and spoken to me. I haven't
Please
heard
adjust
from
your
any
microphone.
of them.
You need to talk in the microphone, they can't hear you, sorry.
Thank you. So I have not spoken to anyone. No one from the Italian American community has reached out to me, and they haven't come forth here to speak. And so I was acting off of what I had heard from my colleagues say, and an effort to get us to yes, to make sure that we did recognize Italian American immigrants, as opposed to, for whatever reason, when this resolution came forward for Indigenous Peoples Day, even though the text of it doesn't say anything negative about Italian Americans or Columbus, it was taken as a slight to them. And that's not the intention I had. I don't believe that's the intention of any of the sponsors of this resolution. So yeah, does that answer your question?
It does, and I believe you, and I believe that you're correct about the intentions of the co-sponsors. And again, I just encourage, this is an opportunity for us to get folks together, have a discussion, and I would just encourage that before we, anyway, that's for us.
Any other discussion, Alderman Donlin?
No, ma'am.
Okay, Alderman Redpath.
I go along with Alderman Donlin. You know, it's not that we don't want to pass the Indigenous Peoples Day, because we do. But the Italian community, I guarantee you, they've reached out to a lot of us, and they're gonna be surprised about this last minute, because we thought Alderman Gregory is bringing a different ordinance. So, Alderman, I'm asking, can we hold this for a week so we can get some people together and try to talk through this?
Sure, if that is the opinion of the majority, yes. I don't want anyone to have to take a hard vote.
Any other discussion, Alderman Redpath?
I'm sorry?
Any other discussion?
No, thank you.
Alderwoman Notriano?
Second.
Pardon me?
Motion to hold?
Well, we need to hear from the public still, sorry. I'm just going to go through the process we already announced. Alderman Notriano, do you have any other comments?
I'm just going to defer to the public.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first person signed up to speak on this item would be Sister Marie Michelle Hackett. Good evening.
Good evening.
Evening.
My name is Sister Marie Michelle Hackett, and I am a Springfield Dominican sister ministering at our mother house here in Springfield. At present, I serve on the Las Casas Board, which is a national board that supports sisters and friars ministering on Native American reservations throughout the country. I also serve on the Native American Board, which is a subcommittee of our Peace and Justice and Integrity of Creation Board. I am here this evening to applaud and support the students from the Springfield Learning Academy for their proclamation to include on the school calendar Indigenous Peoples Day. As an educator and administrator for 54 years in 3 different states, including 2 schools here in Springfield, I am witnessing the fruits of our labors. We have taught our young people to be critical thinkers, to research, and to think of many different possibilities for their choices. The students from the Learning Academy have certainly done their homework, and they are passionate about this proposal. I am asking all of you to not only listen to what they have to say with your ears, but also with your hearts. For these young people are the future voices of America. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. The next person signed up to speak would be Maribel Cruz Hine.
All right. What does it mean to stand with Indigenous people? It means to stand with the common good for the people. We're not replacing anything. We are proclaiming it. These are a couple things that I found out that Indigenous people invented. Kayaks, goggles, the Incas did bridges, the natural medicines that we have, hammocks, syringes, rubber. All this history has been forgotten. We don't even know about. I Googled, and my actual source is history.com, if you guys want to look at it, what Indigenous Peoples Day mean. Indigenous Peoples Day also offers a fresh focus to history in schools, where many history textbooks leave out Native Americans or sanitize white colonizers' treatment of them. In a 2015 op-ed, Shannon Speed, director of the American Indian Studies Center of the University of California, Los Angeles, and a Chickasaw tribal citizen, wrote that virtually none of my university students has had any education whatsoever in the history of this country's treatment of the 10 million or so people who live here before the Europeans arrived. When the city of Austin adopted Indigenous Peoples Day in October 2017, the resolution stated that the city wanted to encourage schools to teach this history. In her column, Speed wrote of her students' common belief in the banished Indian, meaning that her students often think that Native Americans are people who lived in the past rather than living people who continue to practice their cultures today, like I am. I'm an Indigenous people. You are too. I mean, look at Indigenous people of Africa. Nobody even thinks about that. The history of the Indigenous African people spans thousands of years, includes complex varieties of cultures, languages, and political systems. Indigenous African cultures have existed since the ancient times, with some of the earliest evidence of human life on the continent coming through the stone tools and rock art dating back hundreds of thousands of years. The earliest writing recorded of African history come from ancient Egyptians, Nubian texts, which date back to around 3000 BC. These texts provide insight into societies of the time, including religious beliefs, political systems, and trade networks. In the centuries that followed, various other African civilizations rose to prominence, such as Kingdom of Kush, the Northern Sudan, and powerful empires of Ghana, Mali, and Sohai in West Africa. In the late 15th century, European colonization began, leading to the enslavement of millions of Africans and the displacement of many indigenous cultures. Since the end of the World War II, indigenous African cultures have been in a state of constant flux, struggling to maintain their identity in the face of westernization and globalization. In recent years, there has been a resurgence of interest in their traditional cultures of many African countries have taken steps to preserve and promote their indigenous heritage. There's indigenous people in Italy as well. Cultural heritage, Native Tribe Info. You can look it up. It's vital to recognize the presence of the indigenous communities who have shaped the country's cultural tapestry for centuries. That's for Italy. These groups have left an indelible mark of Italy's language, traditions, and many way of life, like the Etruscans, Cyrillic peoples, Asian Ligurians. These are all indigenous people of Italy. When we say indigenous, it means everybody. It means your culture. They are known, it represents us, it represents our forgotten history. So I invite you guys to really look deep into your own DNA, your history, your ancestors. Where do you guys come from? It's forgotten history. We have to remember. And that's all I got is much love, liberation of free Palestine.
Thank you, ma'am. The next person signed up to speak is Emily Anderson. Is Emily here?
Hello. All right, it was very insightful to hear last week's discussion and this week's discussion too, and I am in support of both having Indigenous Peoples Day and Italian American Heritage Day as well. Just kind of going back from last meeting, Alderman Hanauer talked about how in Springfield it's neither. We're not recognizing either, it's not on the calendar, anything, right? So it's even playing field. Alderman Gregory, you had said you wanted a compromise, and I agree, compromise would be great, and that's kind of where I'm going with this. I think it's a step backwards going to November and not recognizing it on the day where like the rest of the nation does. Alderman Williams pointed out it doesn't have to be either or, it can be and. I know Alderwoman Purchase, you alluded to having like credible sources, and that's what we've done. We've done our research. The injustices faced by the Indigenous people, their lives, their land, their culture stolen, and especially their voice. They were here thousands of years before they were colonized, and even after that, it wasn't until 1924 they were granted citizenship in their country that they were living in. It wasn't until 1965 when they gained the right to vote. Okay, and that kind of puts it into perspective. In a land that they lived in for thousands of years, people colonized, took over, and that was that. That's not fair. Okay, if we're talking about not fair, and Italian Americans, I would love to hear from them. I would love to collaborate with them. That's another step we'd love to teach our students, right? So I'm here, pass on my email. Alderman Donnellan, you made it sound like this could be a teaching moment where we come together. And that's where the point of, if we do honor Indigenous people and Italian American heritage, we are both rising up, both parties, right? Not just one, the Indigenous people, we are both. And I don't know how that could be taken as an insult when we're trying to keep things even and grow together and heal together from the hurts in the past. Because as Alderwoman Notoriano said about the beginning of Columbus Day, how Italian Americans, it was offered as like a peace offering because of the discrimination and hatred towards them. Same story for the Indigenous people, okay? So same things happening for bad reasons. We have this one man on a pedestal that does not represent anything we as Americans want to be have as a role model, you know? So if we are flipping the narrative and putting people in their cultures and honoring that, I don't see where or how we could go wrong with that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. The next person signed up to speak is Mallory Seaton. Is Mallory Seaton here?
Hello, sorry. My name is Mason, and I will be speaking on behalf of Mallory tonight. For centuries, Indigenous history has been misconstrued among society along with the history of America. I cannot speak on behalf of them, but I'm sure there's a good amount of Indigenous people who don't even know their own complete history. From the mid-17th century to the 20th, American Indian boarding schools were established to assimilate and object the Indigenous culture. Children regularly taught the modern American way, made to give up whatever they had of their heritage to become quote-unquote civilized, being taught the supposed American history that has been written into the books but not their very own. This rhetoric of America is still taught today, with many still knowing Indigenous history. The same people who this country was built upon are actively ignoring it, if not ignored, pushed aside. This may not be impactful to you individually, but is impactful to the history of America and the people who helped build it. And I would like to add as well that I am in support of celebrating both American heritage, American Italian heritage. Yeah, but I don't think Columbus himself needs to be in the equation. Thank you.
You're Mallory, right? Mallory's not coming then as well. Okay, I'm just making sure that I'm not skipping someone. Thank you. The next person signed up to speak would be Drayden Goker. And Drayden, I hope I'm saying your last name right. Please correct me if it's not right.
All right, today I'll be speaking on Micaiah Anderson's behalf. He is an 8th grade student at our school, and he's speaking on Indigenous Peoples Day today. This might seem like a significant change to you, but to the people who care, it means a change in the right direction. The cultural significance this change represents is important to the way we see the day itself. It opens up more cultural appreciation for Indigenous people. It can help us better understand Indigenous culture and look more into it. There is so much more to this day than people know about. The rich, important history of the Indigenous people who lost too much. The rich, important history of the Indigenous people who lost so much will fade if we do not act now. However, the people who truly care about this day will fight for this proclamation and will not stop until the situation comes to light. In a world full of shadows, we have to be the light people can look for. So be the light, and there is the true meaning of this day.
Thank you, sir. The next speaker, it just says Student District 186. I don't know if there's an additional student. Okay, thank you very much. The next person signed up to speak would be Michelle Cruz-Hein.
Hi. So what does it matter if Indigenous Peoples Day is on the second Monday of October, September 25th, or who even knows, or the second Monday in November? It matters a lot, right? We don't even know the state has it recognized in September, but nobody knows. Nobody cares. Nobody proclaims it. The Illinois State Museum doesn't proclaim it. The Abraham Lincoln Museum doesn't proclaim it. Nobody cares. If that happens in November, it will be the same thing. We didn't really even know it was Native American Heritage Month until recently in this council, right? Not everybody knew that because nobody cares. Nobody cares. The myth of Thanksgiving is still happening because nobody cares. This day needs to be on the second Monday of October because that is the day the federal government proclaimed it to be. If the Italians care, they can come like we have, hiring babysitters, taking off work, our students, coming, writing, because we care that it is on this second Monday in October. Native Americans have cared because since 2022, they have been asking for this here at a Native American Summit. It matters to people. It matters to the Indigenous people. Indigenous people love Italians. Nobody cares if Italian Heritage Day is on the second Monday in October. There's Indigenous Italian people. Heck yeah, celebrate them. If these people, so-called Italians that are so mad, come here. Come here, have a debate, discuss it, have research, bring it. Don't just email, we come here, we bring our research. We have done so much work. I know of an Italian organization that talked about it in the SJR, so they know what's going on. I'm sorry, I'm gonna just write you an angry email and that's acceptable? I also know people that have written to you and said, I am for Indigenous Peoples Day. Where's that coming out of your mouth? Where is that? I am so mad that my students have to sit here and listen to this every time. Just to talk about Indigenous Peoples Day, we have to talk about people that are not even proclaimed on the calendar? What is the problem? No, there should not be a problem. If anybody wants to proclaim Columbus, if anybody wants to proclaim Italian heritage, they can come and ask you. We're not talking about that today. We're talking about Indigenous Peoples Day. What is the matter with everybody that this is a problem? This is ridiculous. I am infuriated. Infuriated. That's how I feel. You want to know about Martin Luther King too? He's sharing a day with Robert E. Lee. Yes. So how about that?
So we have an amendment on the floor right now with the first and a second. We had discussion, so we first have to deal with the amendment.
I'm going to
before we-
actually withdraw my amendment.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second to withdraw the amendment?
I'll second that.
All right, we didn't vote on the amendment. Is that okay?
Right, so she can withdraw it since there was
We
no
have a
vote.
motion and a second to withdraw the amendment. All those in favor of withdrawing the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Okay, so then we had a motion from Alderman Hanauer to hold the ordinance. Do I have a second for that?
Second.
Yeah, you did, you have with,
Oh, Alderman Purchase, sorry.
Alderwoman Purchase.
So we had a motion and a second to hold the ordinance. Any discussion on holding the ordinance? That now is the time for the council to speak. Seeing none, will they be able to, okay, so all those in favor of holding the motion say aye.
Can we have a roll call?
Nay?
Sorry, I wouldn't.
Do we have any nays?
Can we have a roll call?
You can. Alderman Redpath.
Aye.
Alderman Gregory.
Aye.
Alderman Williams. Alderman Rockford. Oh, he's not here. Alderwoman Purchase.
Aye.
Alderwoman Oteriano.
No.
Alderman Carlson.
Aye.
Alderwoman Connolly.
Aye.
Alderwoman Connolly.
I said aye, yeah.
Aye, she said aye.
She said
Aye,
aye.
sorry.
Alderman Donnelly.
Aye.
Alderman Hanauer.
Aye.
I'm going to go back to
Alderman Gregory, are you on the line?
Williams.
Alderman Williams, maybe.
Or Alderman
Williams.
Williams. I can watch this.
He's watching the Flintstones.
I think he listens to the TV. Uh-huh, I can hear the TV. Alderman Williams, are you there?
That's it, Alderman Redpath.
That's a big
So I
delay.
think we'll just go with the,
We have 7 ayes.
It's really hard to find.
okay, so we have 7 aye. Alderman Williams, was that an aye? Nope, it's the
think that
TV, I
was a
think.
TV.
Sorry. So we have 7 ayes and 1 no, so the motion to hold passes. Alderwoman Purchase, I apologize, I don't know when you signed up.
That's-
Were we doing the roll call?
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to speak on this?
Yes,
Okay.
I just want to ask Alderwoman Nutriano to still consider your amendment. So I know you withdrawn it, but still think about your amendment.
Yes. So that was procedural.
We have 8 now.
I had her withdraw that procedurally so we could go back and if there's discussion on that amendment, it will be brought back. That was a procedural ask from.
Yes,
from
we
me.
can hear you.
We do hear you. That would be 8 ayes and 1 nay now.
There we go.
We had a little delay there. Alderwoman Conley, you
Sorry,
signed up to speak. It's
thank-
fine.
thank you,
We were
Mayor.
trying
That
to get
was-
Alderman Williams' vote.
It is really hard to follow these meetings on the phone. I absolutely, the TV's the only way to do it. No, I just want to, reinforce what Alderman Purchase said. I'm assuming we'll have this conversation again, and so to make it very clear, we appreciate, I also want to say thank you to everyone who came in, to the students who've been working on this. As Sister said, we're seeing young leaders in our community speaking up right now. And, yeah, it takes a little bit sometimes, and there is discussion around this, but I have no problem moving forward with this proclamation as amended for next, for that second Tuesday in October. And again, your efforts and your time is very much appreciated, so thank you for coming in.
Thank you, Alderwoman. The next item on the agenda is item number 2024-463, an ordinance authorizing acceptance of a proposal under RFPCS 19-29 and execution of an agreement with Demetrius Krigley for the sale of city-owned property consisting of 2 parcels located at 823 and 825 South 17th Street in the amount of $1,000 for the Office of Budget and Management. Mr. Chair will entertain a motion to place agenda item number 2024-463 on final passage.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item?
Mayor, I just.
Alderman Gregory.
I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Oh, you're good.
I just thank Economic Development, Mr. Disco and Purchasing Agency for explaining everything to me. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Perfect. Any other discussion? Seeing none, the voting will now be open. All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no.
I'm a yes, but.
Yeah.
Not clicking.
Same.
Alderwoman
That's fine.
Conley went to the ladies' room. Alderwoman Purchase is not here either.
enough.
Do you want to ask Alderman Williams? how he
Alderman
votes?
Williams, how do you vote?
We got 6 votes.
You're on
I'm
mute,
just letting
Alderman
Roy
Williams.
have an opportunity.
Alderman Williams, you're on mute. Would you? Thank you.
So the motion passes with 7 voting yes.
You can
Yes,
hear you.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
7 voting yes, none voting no. The next item on the agenda is item number 2024-470, an ordinance amending Chapter 70, 79, 98, and 170 of the 1988 City of Springfield Code of Ordinances as amended pertaining to parking regulations for motorhomes, trailers, and watercraft. Their chair will entertain a motion to place agenda item number 2024-470 on final passage.
So move.
Second.
A motion and a second, and Alderman Redpath, you've signed up to speak on this?
Yeah, I did want to look into it, and I found out my answer. The answer was people are still going to be able to park their stuff as long as it's behind the front of the house. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Because there are a lot of people that have campers and have boats, and it's difficult to have all that when you got 4 or 5 kids with cars in your driveway. So, all right, thank you.
Any other discussion on this item? Seeing none, the voting will now be open. All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no.
Alderman Williams, how do you vote? Alderman Williams, if you want to take it off mute and then vote. Thank you,
So the
sir.
motion passes. Thank you, Alderman, with 8 voting yes, none voting no. Thank you, Alderman Williams. Alderman Williams, before I ask the council members, do you have any unfinished business to come before the council, Alderman Williams?
Alderman Williams, do you have any unfinished business to come before the council?
No, ma'am.
Thank you very much, sir. Alderwoman Purchase, it looks like you have unfinished business, so go right ahead.
Thank you, Madam.
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor.
I do not.
Thank you, Alderman.
I wanted to address what has taken place from Thursday and over the weekend on 5th and North Grand, and just wanted to say thank you to everyone that has been collaborating and in constant communication. A special shout out, Renetta Buckner, she's from the Phoenix Center. She reached out to me, and so did Alderwoman Conley, Alderwoman Nutriano, Alderman Carlson, and Alderman Gregory on constant communication. And to be very clear that her and the street team that they have under the continuum of care, they removed items from in front of a abandoned property and was able to use that owner's dumpster to remove those items. So the city did not remove any of those items. And then we have Pastor James that's in the audience, and he's going to come and speak in a little bit too, and thank them with Abundant Faith Street Outreach Team that came and removed items from 5th and North Grand. And we did this because Renetta Buckner had constant communication with me, and so did Alderwoman Conley, to talk about these items weren't needed any longer as they got housing for the unhoused individuals. So I just wanted to say thank you, and it was just a constant effort. With that, I do have my neighborhood associations in the audience that will be coming to speak, and I just wanted to read because it was last minute that one of my neighborhood president for Enos Park couldn't come, so I just want to share this with my colleagues as well. The following statement is being made by Caleb Payne. Caleb has 20 years of experience working with the homeless of Springfield through the Inner City Mission. He is a former board member of the Heartland Continuum of Care and currently serves as the president of Enos Park Neighborhood Improvement Association. While the opinions of this statement are strong and deeply researched, Caleb wishes to defer entirely to Josh Sable and the servant leaders of the Heartland Continuum of Care, should any of their wisdoms contradict anything that follows here. As one who is deeply vested in the welfare and outcome of our community, even especially the lowest among us, I'm very pleased to hear the progress being made in the discussion surrounding street homelessness and camping ordinances. And I am pleased to see the coordination of recent actions taken towards the encampment on 5th and North Grand. And for the sake of all involved, I hope and expect that this encampment and others like this around the city do not return in the spring. Here is the ugly truth about homelessness. Even here in Springfield, the homeless will always be among us. Why is this so? Because homeless is one of the outcomes of trauma. And since trauma will always exist in every community, fighting homelessness is an infinite war. This is to say, the fight towards solution will never end. As such, it is responsibility of each generation of leaders to shepherd the least of these entrusted to them and then pass the baton. Fighting street homelessness is a double-edged sword. On the one side, you need the equal amount of resources countering the needs presented, and on the other side, you need traumatized population to utilize those resources. And the street homeless are the hardest of the hard to successfully address both of these dilemmas. Right now, the Heartland Continuum of Care has initiated the Heartland House program, which when fully funded seeks to end functional homelessness. That is if fully funded, and the program will entirely meet the first dilemma of the double-edged sword. As for addressing the second dilemma of the sword, this is where Springfield's empowerment of the HOT officers in crafting and implementing trauma-informed city ordinances have the best effects. When working together, the double-edged response produces outcomes we just saw with the 5th Street and the North Grand encampment. This being said, I will further say that the people of our neighborhood are deeply impassioned by this issue for many reasons, for civil rights reasons, for safety reasons, for businesses, and much more. This is an issue that must be addressed, and I will add that we will not be doing simply fighting via NIMBY considerations. Instead, the city must wield and empower this stated double-edged response to this complicated issue and do that for the good of all. Thank you for your time and service to the community. Sincerely, Caleb Payne, Enos Park President. P.S. I'm speaking here as the president of an affected neighborhood association that is committed to the safety and empowerment of all the neighbors. I am not speaking here as an go-to expert on this issue. Again, I defer to Josh Sable and the HCOC team for their wisdom in crafting and implementing trauma-informed policy. Thank you.
Alderwoman. Is there any other unfinished business to come before the council? Seeing none, we're on to new business. And Alderman Williams, just yell at us if you have any new business you'd like to bring up, and then I'll ask the council members, is there any new business? Okay, seeing none, we will go to citizens to address the council, and if Alderman Williams pipes up, just yell at him. Okay. The first person who signed up to speak would be Linda Justice. Is Linda here? No, wait, one moment. Nope, that's Alderwoman Conley, so that is not Linda. The next person signed up to speak would be Alan Dent. Is Alan Dent here?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. What I have to talk about is discrimination, racial discrimination. I'm currently a resident at the near North Village, and I received a complaint on my door about an issue with my cousin. Well, my 14th Amendment right was already violated because the procedure was never, what do you call that, informal investigation first. It was basically, hey, we heard something about this and we just ran with it. The two staff members, Sharon Sherholtz and Ashley Sherholtz, I'm sorry, and another Sharon, I don't know her last name, are two Caucasian ladies. The woman that made the report is a Caucasian lady, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a black male. I do feel that there was sexist in this report also because there was no formal investigation given or taken. I asked them to look at the cameras. They didn't do any of those things. She stated to me, Sharon, which is a property manager of the Near North Village, hey, who has time to take a look at the cameras? This is the first time. I received another complaint on my door of loud music and my company coming in and out without signing in and out. Now, I take medication for schizophrenia, so the medication I take doesn't allow me to function as well as everyone else. So I have people there to help me with things throughout the day and night. So I received a complaint that they weren't signing in and out. I went to the property managers again and asked them, can you please take a look at the cameras? I talked to the security guard. They said they had no problem with anyone signing in and out. So that rose suspicion, and to me, it's clear as daylight. And I have the reports here that they're racial profiling me and they're racially harassing me. And it's a sexist thing because these are all women and they're all Caucasian women. I talked to my doctor about it, and he said that that's not right, that you should talk to city council about that because that's very strange. Now, one last issue is they also labeled one of my family members that got barred under hearsay, which they did no investigation for that. They gave him a name of a known controlled substance called cocaine. I'm catching scrutiny for that because there's people approaching me saying, hey, guess what? We heard that you're associated with a drug dealer. That's not true. I have the report here, which Ashley Sherholtz made, and it stipulates my cousin's name, AKA cocaine. That right there is a very strict violation of my civil rights, his, and it's made me feel very uncomfortable the way the staff there has been mistreating not just me, but I'm sure others. And that needs to be addressed. There are no cameras in the hallways. The security is not even there on Sundays. They leave at 10:30, so there's no one there to monitor these people when they come in and out, you know. So that's a big issue too. Someone could be upstairs dying on the 9th floor. There's no surveillance there to even help with that. And the security, they're rarely even there. Like I said, there's a big problem with the staff there, with the racial profiling and just taking the word of others instead of doing a formal investigation. Their job is to look at the cameras, to check those sheets, to make sure that everybody signed in, which they did not do. And that is why I'm here saying that they are racially discriminating against me, harassing me, and profiling me. That's it.
Mr. Dent?
Yes, ma'am.
Behind you is the Mayor's Chief of Staff, Mike Disco. Our Office of Community Relations looks into situations like this if you feel your rights have been violated.
Yes.
So if you would walk that way, he will get your information and they will follow up with you.
Okay, thank you.
Sir. The next person signed up to speak is Steve Wright. Steve Wright here.
Good evening. I have some concerns with the city garage being developed on Clear Lake. I own a residence directly next to the property, and I feel like things have moved very quickly with this development. Drainage will be affected. The existing drainage should continue into the property being developed. Careful consideration needs to be taken with the design of the landscaping and access roads of the access roads. Inefficient design could lead to our yards flooding. There is currently an area that floods in the field with a tile into the storm sewer near 24th. The condition of the tile and sewer are dilapidated. Again, careful consideration is necessary as to the access gate on 22nd. It should not be used by the city to enter or exit through the neighborhood. Employees and city services traffic on 22nd would cause delays and distress to the residents of the neighborhood. Efficient barriers are needed to prevent industrial noise from the city garage into the neighboring community. Access to utilities must remain for the northern homes on Montgomery. An alley between the residential and city property is necessary. I've spoken with Nathan Bottom and Michael Johnson, and they have told me that they want to be good neighbors. Thank you.
The next person who is signed up to speak would be Jack Pasiola.
My first comment is about red light cameras. I'm personally sick of almost getting hit by people blowing red lights. I was planning to speak on this for about a month, and during that time, someone on my block was hit by a driver blowing a red light. Luckily, they're okay. I hear all the time that we can't legally have red light cameras. I understand that. Does this mean we should just roll over and not try to have them? Don't we have a lobbyist on our payroll? I can't imagine it being too hard for a lobbyist to convince enough politicians to amend a document to include us in the cities who can have red light cameras. I know everyone here wants ambulances for the fire department, but are concerned on budget restraints. Fines collected from red light cameras could be a great way to pay for ambulances, considering they respond to accidents. Additionally, I know all y'all want red light cameras, but it's too difficult. They don't want to do it because of corruption, whatever. If you want them, speak up. You guys do radio interviews. Talk about it. Apply the pressure. We can get them. We need them. Now on my next topic. A few weeks ago, there was a motorcycle cop on 5th Street blocking the sidewalk and using radar. So I decided to conduct a test. I went past this officer 4 times while going 17 miles an hour over the speed limit. I was clearly going faster than the rest of the traffic in the right lane. I was shocked I wasn't pulled over, but then I remembered, according to the 2023 Springfield Police traffic stop data, black people are 5.7 times more likely to be stopped than white drivers. Was I just not black enough to be pulled over? I 100% should have been pulled over. Next time, should I drive past them 5.7 times and maybe I'll get pulled over? And then my last topic. Last week, someone pled guilty to raping multiple minors. 2 Springfield officers spoke in court in support of the rapist. One of these officers is a city sex crime detective, someone who is supposed to help seek justice for victims, not perpetrators. I find this absolutely disgusting. SPD should fire these officers. They should not be involved with sex crime cases. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person signed up to speak is Ken Pasha.
How's everybody doing tonight? So I don't know how many of you guys paid attention last night to the Sonia Massey listening session that they had last night. Anybody tune in on YouTube? Check out the live stream. Strongly encourage it. I'm going to share some of the commentary from there, not only from a former SPD officer who ran our mental health care task force for 29 years, both during the meeting and after, as a reflective note on the kind of things that I've talked about over the last few months regarding the kind of behavior and standards that we've seen with regards to the numbers we've just heard and the numbers we've heard in previous weeks from previous commentators. I took the time, along with somebody else who also took the time in the public speaking session, to speak directly to Sergeant Castles. He's had continual issues with us using the phrase systemic racism within the police force. Now, that may seem like a small quibble, just a little bit of language change there, but it leads to a larger discussion that happened afterwards. Sergeant Castles came and spoke us out, and I'll note he is retired. I want to note that. I don't want to make it sound like he's currently representing the SPD in that capacity. But I will note, I will note, though, that one of the things that we had a conversation with him about is why that over-policing does, in fact, occur in these neighborhoods. Why is it 5.7 times more black people being pulled over in a city where they're only 11% of the population? And his response initially was to correct me that it was 12. It could be 20% of the population. It could be 30. That's still an outrageous disparity, right? I think we can all agree to that. The problem is I placed a very simple thing to him that I've also placed to you guys. You may remember it. A very simple choice. You either think that black people inherently are predisposed to commit more crimes and are more likely to commit crimes, which is why we send police over there, or the police are engaged in systemic and institutional forms of racism and over-policing poor and marginalized neighborhoods that predominantly contribute. 11% of our population are not committing that much more of the crimes. And do you know what Sergeant Castle's response to me was when I asked why that is? He said it's their culture that causes young black males to get arrested and accosted by the police. And when I asked him what culture that is, he said their culture. Their culture? Well, whose culture is that, Sergeant Castles? He again diverted to something else. But I'll note that that was said in front of multiple witnesses. So that's the kind of thing that somebody who ran our mental health task force here for the SPD, for I don't know the exact amount of years, but he was here over almost 30 years as an SPD officer. And those are the kind of things that he has openly saying to members of the public. So I have to ask, in a reflective sense, when we look at those numbers that the ACLU and others have collected and helped report on, those numbers are very real, and there's a very big issue as to why those numbers are like that. And the idea that we couldn't even get him to agree to the idea that systemic racism plays a role in how policing is enforced within our own community is infuriating for one, but also mystifying. Because I think at this point in our lives, I would think most real conscious adults that are aware of the world that we live in can acknowledge that systemic racism is widespread and inherently a part of almost everything we do, from trash collection all the way up to how the police enforce the law. So it was just frustrating for me as a community member to hear from somebody with that much experience and that much time in our community with that kind of dangerous thinking. Because I think we can all agree that saying that their culture is why we see them get that level of disparity, I think we know what we would call that, guys. I think we know the words. That is outright racism, right? I didn't curse, I stopped. I apologize if it was heard. I meant to stop, please. I apologize. But that frustration, I think, is very real, though, guys. I apologize for my cursing, but I think we all understand why that would cause me to use a profanity, because that is ridiculous to hear from a member of our police force, somebody who had a very real role in it. And that's the kind of things he's saying openly in public on a commission. And I urge this council to really consider, when we come at you with these things, to realize that when those numbers that we're talking about are like that, when I talk about sidewalks and things like that, that is a system of racism that is affecting the citizens of our community. And the idea that our officers, not all of them, I'm not going to speak for everyone on the SPD, but the idea that that's somebody who is in severe leadership, those are the things he would say, that should disturb all of us. I'm going to spend my last 30 seconds concentrating on one last piece. Former Alderwoman Gail Simpson made a comment last night at the meeting about the bridge being a bridge to nowhere that we've dedicated to the Massey family. As a city, with the disparity that we have and the ability to give more, and this isn't meant to be an attack on your work, Sean, that is nothing. That bridge is nothing compared to what we should be doing for them or what we could do for them, from naming buildings, streets, or more, to ensure that we always say her name. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person signed up to speak is Jenna Broom.
Good evening. So last Friday, November 15th, a group of 8 unhoused individuals staying at the encampment on 5th and North Grand were moved into hotel rooms and given a hot dinner. This work was done by a group of individuals from multiple agencies without police involvement whatsoever. Through patience, compassion, and willingness to help, 8 formerly unhoused people got to sleep in a warm bed with a roof over their heads. And while there is still plenty of work to do in this regard, I wanted to highlight the outstanding work done by Intricate Minds, Heartland Housed, and the Phoenix Center for those members of our community. I'm grateful for their work and proud to call them fellow Springfield citizens. On the other hand, I was extremely concerned to see the violent, hateful rhetoric and attacks promoted on Facebook by a user named Patriotic America, claiming that several neighborhood groups and individuals were going to get together to clear the site on North Grand on November 21st. Thankfully, the named groups and the elected official named in that awful post by the person whose words that I would describe them with will not be stated here, they denounced this person, so that's good. So we're grateful for that. However, there has been a noticeable lack of condemnation by the police department. This type of attack against our most vulnerable community members cannot and should not be ignored, and leadership is responsible for their safety regardless of their housing status. I hope that threat has been followed up on, and the individuals, while there aren't really any out there right now, but those individuals are still protected. This is not Gotham City, and vigilantism should not be tolerated whatsoever. I also had the opportunity to chat with Penny, the director of Fifth Street Renaissance, this weekend. I asked her how she was doing, and she said she's pretty busy with the 20 programs that Fifth Street Renaissance runs, as well as the changing of the seasons and the pressure on her organization from that. Now, I know you guys all know about Fifth Street's work because she was one of the people, that group was one of the presenters for that meeting. And I know you're aware of all the other organizations connected to Heartland Housed. And so you also know that they are well underfunded. Yet once again, I find no funding increases for their services on the agenda. Not a penny more for the unhoused, but about $1 million for CWLP and another $4 million-ish for Public Works. Over $1 million for police and fire pensions, $500,000 of that coming out of cannabis taxes. Why isn't a single person at this table proposed increasing funding since the meeting where several agencies presented? Has there been any outreach to the county to work together to fully fund Heartland Housed? And if not, why? It's clear that there are people in this community that want to help the unhoused and have the tenacity, wherewithal, and hearts to do so. They just need the money. Please support our most vulnerable and help fully fund Heartland Housed. Thank you.
The next person signed up to speak will be James Cockrell. James. Yep.
Good evening. Just wanted to follow up from last time I was here. I think I was here at the last meeting, and I talked about the North Grand situation, which occurred. I wanted to say thank you to the Heartland folks who house those folks that were homeless, unhoused people that were out there. Also want to shout out to Abundant Faith Community Outreach. And all they did, these were members of the community, and all they did was rent a 20 cubic foot container and picked up in less than an hour, cleaned that whole half block area where all the junk was piled up on that block. And so they were dedicated to do that. They filled it up in less than an hour, the dumpster, and it was taken away in the same hour. They paid for that out of their own pockets. I'm concerned that, one, we couldn't get the city to take some action about that large eyesore that was on North Grand. All the people that live in that area were exposed to that. Children in the area were exposed to that. And the people are housed for right now, but this is going to repeat itself once it gets warm, once the temperature goes down. And I'm curious why the city was afraid to clean up. We did call the city to try to get it cleaned up before we had to spend our money to rent this dumpster to load this garbage in it. I'm just curious as to what we're going to do to address the issue. You need an ordinance that does not harm the homeless folks, but that ordinance should be balanced and not punish the homeowners in the area. They have to look at that for weeks on end and deal with the drug dealing, the crime, all the things that go along with it, using the restroom outside. We need to fix it. I don't know what the fix is, but all of you are very intelligent folks. We fixed that problem in less than an hour. And I'm just wondering what the city plans to do to address this issue. Now, I said it last week and I'll say it again, if it popped up across the street from your house, I'm sure that there's something would happen. Somebody would figure something out. And I just think it should be dealt with more seriously before someone else gets killed. I understand people have died over at that location. And I'm just hoping that the city will come up with a solution that will take care of the problem. It should be an ordinance or some type of law that would prevent people from just camping out on property that even belongs to the city or belongs to a private citizen. It should be a fair ordinance that doesn't give the homeless person a criminal record or cause them to be locked up. But it should take into account that people can't just do what they want to do and live and sleep where they want to sleep. But they have to have an alternative place to be, to live, to sleep when they don't have when Helping Hands is full. And we've torn down some of the other homeless facilities that we've had here, so I imagine we don't have as much homeless capacity that we once had. But we need to find an alternative, and it's just going to repeat itself again. So I just ask that that something be done from this level to take care of that problem. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next person signed up to speak is Alice Ramey, but I do not see her here, so I'm going to move on to the next person. Robert Williams.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to, good evening, every member of the City Council Committee. I would like to discuss this issue that y'all was just speaking about, Heartland. They full of it. I'm homeless. I'm living on the street. Alderman Roy Williams gave me a letter last week, and he told me to call them and see if they would help me find a place to stay while it's cold. He said they was placing people in hotels. So I gave him a call. Like he said, I had my friend Renina call first. She called, and they told her, where she left a message. You got to leave a message first, then they get back with you. She left a message, told them I was homeless, and it was cold, it was raining, and I didn't have no place to stay. They said, well, we ain't gonna have Robert Williams with no hotel. Now, hung up. But no, I take that back. They said they'll help me get housing, but they won't have me get a motel. Well, hell, excuse my French, I'm not gonna need you when I get my SSI check. I get my own house. I need you now. And Mr. Williams gave me this letter, and he told me to let them know what they was gonna do. Well, Mr. Williams, this is exactly what they did. Nothing. And what's your Anthony Gregory, my sidekick, we both stay at I stay in the tent, which he gave to me. He stay in in the back of this building, which Ascend owned, to get away from the rain and all the other BS. And this is unfair. And I want to discuss what my cousin was just talking about near North. He was speaking about me. They call me cocaine, but I don't sell no drugs. I smoke weed, drink beer, that's it. And to be called that, I immediately thought, well, they on some BS. And I told the lady, when I spoke to the manager, first they told my cousin that it was a security issue. Then when I spoke to the manager, she said a lady complained that I hugged her. Just, and she know me from Sangamon Tower, and she be around associates, my friends, and I get them hugged, and I just call myself, letting her know she's welcome in my circle, and if anybody mess with her or them, I will hurt them, because I feel no man should be putting their hands, no kid or a person that's living there, adult or elders, because we was raised with respect, and if you did that, you'll get a beat down. But now, since these other people got this money, they laying there putting, I'm gonna let Solo take care of that. But like I said, I was kicked out of a bar for no reason. Then the manager said security. Then she said because I gave the lady a hug, she barred me. What kind of law is that? When I told Roy Williams that, he was like, what? You kidding? I said, no, it's the truth. And I felt racial profile, and I even told her. And she said, no, it's not like that. I said, that's BS. And I talked to Shannon and Miss and Newman about housing, and they was talking about the projects. Where I come from, I lived in Robert Taylor in Chicago. Them projects, them over there, these projects here is not projects. They are infested with bugs. I ain't never heard of what you call them bugs? Bed bugs in my life until I come to Springfield, and I was attacked by them, and I'm still being attacked, and ain't nobody doing jack. I'm asking you all, I want to get a grant for the homeless, a facility that will stay open 24 hours. And I also want to open up halfway houses for guys, women and men getting out of prison, kids too, and these mental health people, they not out here helping us. They not coming out here talking to us. And Heartland, I never seen them. I ain't knew what they were until I got that letter from Mr. Williams. Like I said, I called them myself. We called them the same day I got the letter, and they said the same thing. They haven't been there. Everybody and their mama know where we at. You know what I'm saying? Everywhere I go, I'm being followed. Everywhere, like today, I dropped my toe back.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Thank you.
You want a question?
Your 5 minutes is up,
I
sir. The next
just got
person
one
signed
question
up
for
to
you.
speak will be
Can you do something about this, Mayor?
Brianna Eilers. Is Brianna Eilers here?
Hi, guys. So good evening. I probably won't look at you guys, and I'm sorry, because I'm Brianna, and I'm disabled. I'm actually surprised that my voice isn't quaky and that I'm not passing out right now. I was going to have a little disclaimer. If I pass out, don't call 911. I cannot afford the ambulance. So even though I've only given birth to 2 kids, I do have 5 kids. All of those children also have their own personal challenges. My husband is our sole breadwinner. He makes too much money for us to qualify for any public aid assistance. We're literally right on that cusp. And right on that cusp, you don't survive. You cannot survive by yourself when you are on that cusp. So we're a family that relies heavily on community-based social services in order to get by, because we cannot use government-based social services. We make too much money. But we can't afford our medicine and we can't afford our food. So due to the range of our abilities, we like to keep to ourselves. It's safer that way. There's no one to judge us, humiliate us, or just downright make us feel bad for enjoying the little things in life. At home, we can color, we can paint, we can create all day long without a single soul breaking our focus. There's so many people in our community that relate to my family. People that have chosen safety of their homes over the angry, loathing, judgmental world that is today. People who lack the attention needed in order to sit through an atrociously boring meeting such as this. People who lack the ability to speak up for themselves due to their own disabilities. I promise you I am not trying to be annoying. I am just trying to be heard like many others in our community. Springfield is not safe for my family. J.B. Pritzker has told me that Springfield would be safe for my family because it is within the borders of Illinois. Springfield is not safe for my family. I promise you, I've already said that. My goodness. My family consists of white-skinned, blonde-haired, blue-eyed humans. I genuinely cannot imagine how other minority groups feel, because I've been gifted the privilege of whiteness, but I still wake up every single day thinking, seriously, another day. I've had a few conversations now with a few council members, and during each and every single conversation, I am left thinking, what a privilege. What a privilege it is that you don't have to wake up and worry about your kids and feeding them. What a privilege it is that you don't have to worry about your children having panic attacks before school because you don't have food in your house. What a privilege it is to be able to have rich folk even entertain your existence. Your existence. Please recognize and use your privilege to speak for those who cannot. Because we are out here, and we cannot make it to your meetings. We cannot make it to your neighborhood association meetings. Use your privilege to protect those that cannot protect themselves. Right now is a time to put your cool kids country club pants away and put on your Blue's Clues thinking caps, because our lives literally depend on it. You guys think big picture on everywhere. Keep the big picture, but your goals have to be small. As for the homeless crisis, what's one thing that they deal with all the time that we see? They don't have storage. That's something small. That's a small goal. You could just enact a storage space for them. Small goals in order to get to the big picture. That's what we are taught in therapy for us mental health peoples, and that's what we need across the board. So, parents are drowning out here. We're trying to raise our kids while working multiple jobs just to pay the rent. We don't have enough money for food. We can't be involved in our students' education because we're too busy trying to find money to house our student. Springfield parents are not capable of working overtime, attending all school functions, getting to all doctor's appointments, going to all school board meetings, and attending these meetings. It is literally not possible. We can't be everywhere. We have kids to raise, and you guys have told us our kids are bad. So we're trying our best, but we need you to work with us. All right, so here's where I'll leave it. The lack of engagement in your ward is a direct tie to your work within your ward. Hold your regular meetings with your retired, well-off, normal people, but also knock on doors. Reach out to the unreachable. We're here. Just because we're not seen doesn't mean we're not here. We're disabled. We're in our house. We're scared of the world right now. And Illinois is supposed to protect us, and you guys are not. So that's where I'll say it. Please stop throwing life rafts to people who are already on boats. We literally just want wood so we can make our boat. We don't even want a boat at this point. We want to make our own boat. Give us the tools. That's all I'm asking.
Ms. Eilers, if you would like the Office of Community Relations to reach out to you, please give Chief of Staff Disco your information. The next person signed up to speak is Jen A. Holt.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jenny Holt, and I live in Lincoln Park Neighborhood Association, which borders North Grand to the south. I'm here with other members of Lincoln Park Neighborhood Association. I'm speaking in coordination with the association as well as Enos Park Neighborhood Association. I want to thank Alderwoman Purchase for her leadership in bringing our groups together to discuss the path forward for the safety and vitality of our neighborhoods and the city of Springfield as a whole. The recent developments at the encampment at 5th and North Grand have brought longstanding issues to the forefront. While the owners of the strip mall and vacant restaurant took action by calling law enforcement for trespassing, the broader challenge remains. The effort led to the relocation of the unhoused into temporary hotel stays, an outcome we are grateful for, thanks to Renata Buckner with Phoenix Center and their partnership with the Heartland Housed. The cleanup process exposed the serious health and safety risks the encampment posed, including significant sanitation issues. While the area has been cleared, the impact on our neighborhoods remains fresh. Over the past 2.5 years, what was once a safe path to schools and community spaces, such as Landfair and YMCA, devolved into a hazardous area plagued by drug use and safety concerns. Businesses in the vicinity have suffered tremendously, losing customers and resources to these challenges. This is our opportunity to address these issues strategically and sustainably. We urge the council to consider adopting an ordinance to proactively address encampments that pose health and safety risks. Many cities have implemented similar measures that allow authorities to act while supporting individuals with alternative options such as shelters, mental health services, and drug treatment programs. Such an ordinance should also include a notice period and a respectful process for storing belongings, ensuring that people are treated with dignity, even in difficult circumstances. Second, we must confront the imbalance in emergency shelter availability for our unhoused population in Springfield. According to the Built for Zero dashboard from the Heartland Housed, there are 645 active homeless individuals in Springfield. Excluding families and youth, that leaves 560 adults. Emergency shelters provide 206 beds, 90 for women and families, 110 for men that are not sex offenders and who have valid IDs. No emergency shelter beds are available for sex offenders in Springfield. This allocation does not align with the demographics, where men make up 70% of the homeless population but only receive 53% of the emergency shelter capacity. We need to invest in solutions like a low barrier overflow emergency shelter to accommodate those who fall outside of the current shelter requirements. Finally, we must prepare for what happens next. The temporary hotel stays offer relief, but when those arrangements expire or when warmer weather invites encampments to reform, we must be ready. Without proactive measures, we risk seeing the same issues return, whether at 5th and North Grand, whether at the library, or in your wards. In reading the 2020 report by John Fallon, commissioned by the City of Springfield, I was struck by two key recommendations: the need for low-barrier emergency shelters and the importance of the strengthening housing and employment opportunities for individuals reentering the community from, incarceration. These remain critical areas for us to resolve. Our neighborhoods deserve safety and stability, and the unhoused deserve compassion and effective solutions. By implementing strategic ordinances and addressing the root causes of homelessness, we can create a Springfield where everyone can thrive. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person signed up to speak is Brianna Roberts.
First, I want to say I like the little box that you have on the live screen to cover the audience. It's a nice touch of censorship. I want to know what's going to happen next week to censor the audience. But today, I want to talk about the history of policing in America, a history of deeply rooted racial inequalities and economic control. The origin, structure, and practices reveal a system built not to protect equally, but to maintain power for the privileged few. Policing began as a mechanism of oppression, evolving into a tool for racial and social control, and continues to disproportionately harm Black Americans. The origins of policing lie in the system of oppression. In the South, the earliest organized police forces were slave patrols. As historian Sally Hayden notes in Slave Patrols, Law and Violence in Virginia and Carolina, those patrols existed to capture runaway slaves, enforce slave codes, and stop revolts. Their primary role was to uphold the institution of slavery through violence and surveillance, embedding racial control into the fabric of law enforcement. In the North, early police forces in the mid-19th century focused on controlling immigrant laborers, suppressing strikes, and protecting the property of the wealthy elites. As documented by Victor Kappeler in A Brief History of Slavery and the Origins of American Policing, these forces were designed not to universally protect this public, but to enforce societal hierarchies, aligning law enforcement with the interest of economic power. Though slavery ended, the systems of racial control evolved. Michelle Alexander's The New Jim Crow reveals how the criminal justice system maintained racial caste systems through policies like the war on drugs. These policies disproportionately incarcerated Black Americans, leading to rates 6 times higher than those of white Americans. The Stanford Open Policing Project analyzed over 100 million traffic reports nationwide and found American drivers are 20% more likely to be stopped and searched than white drivers, despite being less likely to possess contraband. These patterns of biases are not isolated incidents. They are systematic and widespread, rooted in a long history of racial dehumanization. A key factor of perpetuating these inequalities is the desensitization of police officers, a process that erodes empathy and fosters a warrior mindset. Radley Blakelow's Rise of the Warrior Cop highlights how militarization programs such as the 1033 program supply police departments with military-grade weapons and vehicles. This militarized culture conditions officers to view communities, especially Black and brown communities and neighborhoods, as battlefields and individual threats. But what does desensitization mean? It is the psychological process where repeated exposure to violence and high-stress environments reduce emotional responsiveness. Officers may begin to see these people as problems to be controlled rather than individuals deserving dignity. Tragic examples of this would be the loss of life to George Floyd and also, here in Springfield, Sonia Massey, where both people had pled to be seen as a human and their lives were taken because they were seen as a threat instead. Moments of brutality are not an anomaly. It is a result of culture that normalizes excessive force. Similarly, I already went there. Black Americans are 3.5 times more likely than white Americans to be killed by police, as reported in the Lancet's 2021 study on police violence. This disparity underscores how systematic racism continues to shape policing outcomes. Even when Black individuals survive encounters with law enforcement, they face higher rates of arrest, harsher sentences, and lifelong consequences from a system designed to criminalize their existence. The history and data are clear. Policing in America was built on the foundation of inequality, and its current practices continue to reflect those origins. We cannot ignore the human cost of maintaining this system. Black lives have been devalued, communities have been traumatized, and trust is continuously eroded. As a society, I demand better. Springfield is not exempt to this. Local leaders have the power to enact meaningful change. By reallocating resources, holding officers accountable, and redefining the role of policing, we can build a system that values humanity and justice for all, but we have to start with the history before we improve the future. Thanks.
The next person signed up to speak is Robert Frazier.
Good evening, Council. I came to bring good news, and my name is Robert Frazier, Executive Director of Clean Slate Advocates. What is Clean Slate Advocates? CSA, we call it. It is a non-for-profit 501c3 providing laundry service for low-income and homeless communities. We provide laundry services to the underserved communities at no charge. Our mission transcends the mere act of laundry. It is about addressing an often unseen and unspoken struggle within our neighborhoods. Many face difficult choices daily, whether they need to buy medication, buy food, or clean their clothes, decisions that weigh heavily on individuals and families alike. Our purpose is rooted in the understanding and responding to these challenges, recognizing that something fundamental like clean clothes and linen can profoundly impact one's dignity, confidence, and sense of belonging. We are on track. We identified a problem, we provided a solution. We are on track for our projections through December 2024 of processing over 1.1 million loads of laundry. Household serves will be over 31,649. People served at 158,235. Our 2025 projections are 1,850,000 loads of laundry to be processed. Households served will be over 52,000. People served will be in excess of 264,000. This is what we're currently doing at CSA, and it has been a successful project. We look forward to the opportunity of getting support from every aspect of community, including the city and businesses alike. We appreciate, and I thank you that you guys allowed me to come up and speak tonight. I appreciate it.
That's all we have.
Motion to adjourn?
A motion and a second. All those in favor, aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We are adjourned.